Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the SwitchBladeJay YouTube channel. My name is, of course, SwitchBladeJay, as you might have been able to guess, and welcome to my channel where I shall now be posting esports content. Now, I'm imagining that 90% of you that are watching this right now will already know who I am, or at least on the date of publishing, but I do want to give a little bit of an introduction, so I'll lay the groundwork of what this is going to be about. So we'll start with who am I. I'm SwitchBladeJay. I've been an esports commentator for 2 years, full-time for the past year, and in general I'm also just an entertainment personality. I've done loads of different pieces of content across the span of the last 6 or 7 years, and this is just my latest project. What is this project? This is my YouTube channel. I've had it for a good couple of years now. Since 2015 is when I started it out, and for it I was mostly making entertainment videos based around video gaming. That's going to be changing now. I'm going to be kind of shifting my focus to my current career, which is in esports, making content around esports, which we'll get into a little bit in a moment. For now, though, a few people, especially if you do know who I am, will be asking, why am I doing this now? Why am I creating content now when I could have done so in a few months, you know, in the past or in the future, or, you know, at any point during my career? Why would I choose now of all times? And I feel like 2018 really is just kind of the year where I really should do it. It gives me a lot of great benefits as a whole. I know that as I'm publishing this video, as I'm recording this video, it's the 23rd of January, and so the major playoffs are coming up. So, you know, I've been, you know, posting stuff on my Twitter about it. I've been making my predictions, and I figure, you know, it might be a good idea to put stuff like that in a video form. As well as that, there are also some fantastic events in esports that I do want to keep up and share my opinions on, so there's all those kind of factors to put in, but as well as that, it's kind of something that's been in the back of my head for the past 6 months or so. About 6 months ago, I watched a video from a content creator called Thorin. If you're in Counter-Strike, if you're in League of Legends, you probably know who Thorin is. He's a esports analyst, a content creator. He makes videos on his channel, Thorin's Thoughts, and all these various different interviews and talking about esports from an analytical standpoint. And he made a video called "Where Are the Experts?" and really was just a call to arms for fans, people who are the most invested in esports and in this kind of world, to come and make content. And well, that's what I want to do. I want to make content. I feel that, you know, content has a lot of great benefits. As well as that, it's a lot of fun. I love talking about esports. Like, you know, I could spend a good few hours in conversation with someone, whether that be an expert in their own right, or someone who may not be familiar at all with esports, and I could, you know, just talk for hours upon hours about various bits and pieces, going into all the deep intricacies, or even stuff at the surface level. So I kind of want to do that, and that's kind of the reason why I'm making this introduction video, why I'm even starting on YouTube in the first place. So, what's the main purpose of this channel? Well, number one is to boost my profile as a commentator. I've been an esports commentator for 2 years, mostly in play-by-play. And I noticed that in play-by-play, you very rarely get to express your opinions about teams and events. Even though you may be working on the analytical side of things, even though you may have an opinion or something, you rarely get to share it. And so that's kind of a part of the reason why I'm making this channel. Not only just to improve my standing in terms of where I can share my opinion, but also to share enhance and share my skill set as a commentator and an analyst, because I've been putting a lot of work into my analysis. I've been putting a lot of work into my play-by-play and sort of shifting a bit of an analytical perspective into that, because, you know, play-by-play on its own is just very, very dry. So I want to add at least a little bit of flair to some of it. The second thing is kind of just to create content around events in a video format. I do a lot of events. I'd like to, you know, just sort of like present those events in sort of a tentpole style, so I can give you sort of a rundown of exactly what's going on. And the third thing is to fill a hole in the content scene. Now, I say that, I've got a CSGO overlay on my video right now, and there isn't really a massive hole in the CSGO scene. You've got loads and loads of different podcasts and people talking about everyone from Dust to Thorin to Richard Lewis to DK. Everyone's making content of their own sort of style of thing. They're all making analysis videos. They're all presenting some sort of news or event or something along those lines into the esports space in CSGO. And that's actually kind of where I want to shift my focus, because I'm not just a CSGO commentator, I'm also a Rocket League commentator. I've been doing that for the past 6 months, well, 6 months consistently for the past year, on and off, since January 2017. And I feel like it's a really, really good scene that has almost no one making analytical, thought-provoking content around the esports space. You've got esports people who, you know, do esports esports content, but it's always sort of like a entertainment element around it rather than being informative. Or you just got people who aren't really doing any of that sort of thing at all, and Rocket League is a very entertainment-based scene. And I want to kind of change that. Well, not change that, but like add to it, because I feel there is a lot that you can talk about in terms of Rocket League esports, and I feel like that there is a lot of people that could come out and say the same sort of thing. So in the same way that Thorin has issued upon me the challenge, I issue upon you all, and I'm hoping that this project with Rocket League will hopefully spur that sort of conversation on. So what content in specifics will I be making? Well, there's a handful of things, and there's kind of 5 points and 5 styles I really want to run down in this channel. Number 1, analytical content around CSGO and Rocket League. Obviously, I kind of set out the whole analytical side of things, talking about statistics, breakdowns of maps, teams' performances, individuals' performances, history of teams, and just going through all that, trying to not only predict the outcome of where the scenes will go, but also to take a look at where the future of each team lies in terms of looking towards events, looking back at events, and trying to connect the dots going forward. The second thing I want to focus is event previews and analysis, and I've got a video already coming up on this as well. It's my first video in the making. It's going to be the E-League Major, kind of talking about, you know, kind of fitting those 2 first points in together, but, you know, talking about events, taking a look forward to an event like the playoffs of the E-League Major, or taking a look back at an event like the E-League Major in Atlanta last year, and, you know, talking about it in an analytical style, you know, referencing it, and about, you know, what it means for the scene in today's sort of standing, and what it means for the scene as a whole. The third thing I want to talk about is news. I don't want to be a journalist. That's one thing I think over the course of my esports career, I've proven that I'm quite bad at, is being a journalist. I don't break stories. I discuss stories, and I share my opinion on stories, and I like to spur on a conversation. So whenever something, a piece of news breaks on the scene, whether there's an interesting talking point about the scene, I'd like to bring that to the forefront of the conversation and share my own opinion on it as well. And that kind of ties me on to my 4th point as well, opening the floor to discussion. I've already said that I really want to open the floor to discussion in Rocket League, and I really want to do that. So I invite anyone who is interested in this kind of thing to hit the subscribe button, get involved in the comments, and, you know, just, you know, in general, talk about the topics that I will talk about both in CSGO and Rocket League. And the 5th thing, which isn't quite as important, is event after movies. Now, I've already created a few videos for this channel, mostly to boost my portfolio and to show off my skills as a commentator. But if you do go back, you notice that there's a couple of event after movies I've created along the lines of Epic LAN. And Epic LAN is a fantastic event that I love doing every single time it rolls around. You'll already see a general idea just taking a look at those 2 videos of exactly what it is I'm trying to do, and, you know, to create a montage, create the best moments of an event that may be a few days long, compress it into maybe 10 minutes, and show it off to the world. Because I think there's a lot of fantastic events at a grassroots level, not only a grassroots level, but at the top tier of tournaments in the world, that I feel like really should be represented in a way that's very, very creative and transformative. And I really want to kind of push that kind of thing, especially with events that I'm personally involved in. You know, Epic LAN, I always go to, I always commentate those events, and many others that I'm also involved with over the course of the next year. So that being said, that's kind of everything summarized in a way that I hope is kind of cohesive, and I hope is kind of, it makes sense to a lot of you. So if you do want to get involved, then you can hit the subscribe button, and you know, follow all the social media links. You can see them down below, twitter.com/SwitchJamie, and the YouTube channel is SwitchBladeJay. Of course, subscribe to that, and you never have to remember that ever again. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen, and I do hope you'll be along for the rest of the way. Take care.